Open your heart to keep winning. Good morning, gang. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining as we continue the conversation on how we can keep winning. The big question this week is, are we opening up our hearts enough and paying enough attention to listen to the experiences of others? Now, this question came up a couple of weeks ago when one of our daughters is entering her third year of medical school, and she was expressing some concerns that given her gender and her age, that people might not take her seriously for the information that she's been studying. Essentially, she was expressing concern being a lady in a field that has traditionally been practiced by men. So hearing this and having been practicing for 20 years now, I became concerned and I started telling her, no, you can't start like this at the very beginning of your profession. You have to learn how to assert yourself. It's not going to be your clothes or any special uniform or anything like that that helps you distinguish yourself from others and helps the patients and people around you respect your level of knowledge and experience. I went on and sharing how, as a minority, I've been practicing for all these years, and I don't worry about that. It's not really an issue. I don't think about that from day to day, and my patients really appreciate the experience that I bring. It was just about this time that our other daughter came around the corner and whispered into our oldest daughter's ear, here he is again, mansplaining. Well, the conversation went on for another 20 or 25 minutes, maybe 30, and none of us really moved. Essentially, I was concerned that, my daughter at the very beginning of her career is now starting to already question the extent to which she's going to be able to do well. She's starting to have an awareness of maybe some limits that might be there. And I didn't want her to have that feeling, and I didn't want the other one to have that feeling either. But they didn't budge, and they didn't argue a lot, but they were not listening to me, and I was not listening to them. And over the weeks that followed, I would have several people that are on the neurology rotation at various levels of their training, some interns, some residents, some first-year residents, some are in psychiatry, some internal medicine, some in family practice residency. And I did start to see a pattern for the first time ever as a result of this conversation. I noticed that if there was any extra medical need, somebody needed some water, maybe something has fallen on the floor, some hand sanitizer that's attached to the wall, the little bucket that catches the excess, we went to use it and it broke. One of our young lady attendees who was on our rotation said, oh, I'll get that. And the guys were just standing around like, oh, I don't see any problem there. I did notice a tendency that ladies have, girls have, women have, to fix things that guys can be looking at, and maybe they're not looking at it, maybe they're paying attention to it, maybe they don't care. And basically what I came to appreciate was that, definitely women and ladies and girls experience the world entirely differently. Now that sounds ridiculously obvious, but as a result of this conversation, now I was more keen to it, more sensitive to it, and I even stopped a couple of people, young ladies that were on our rotation, and saying, you don't have to fix that. That's not necessarily your job. I mean, we can all work toward fixing these things, and but don't feel like you have to rush to do that. At the same time, we can all be rushing and going and fixing things, small things when they come up. Now, this issue came up several times, many times. I mean, it comes up every week, the issue of equality in the workplace. And from my own hand and with my own experience, I wouldn't have thought that there was so much inequality in the workplace. I've just never seen it. But now, as a result of this discussion that I had with my daughters and my wife, I do see that there is inequality, and I'm so glad that I paid attention. There was something about this particular episode that made me look at it differently. So here's the big question. Are you noticing inequalities in your environments? Some of those that have to do with gender, some that have to do with ethnicity, some that have to do with religion, some that have to do with different ways of thought, different orientations? If so, are you paying attention, and are you opening up your heart, and are you making an effort to listen as well? Going forward, and particularly this week, and even in the weeks to follow, and hopefully I'll become a better listener and a better appreciator of people that are thinking differently, and people that I'm different from, for goodness sakes. Hopefully, if we're able to do that, then we can become a more unified society, a more unified family, a more highly functioning family, and a more highly functioning country, a more highly functioning world. Let's do that this week going forward. Keep winning, guys. Take care.